Myself, Professor Deep Nilesh Warang, and today let's begin with English for Business, English 102. Unit 1, Understanding Yourselves. In this topic, we shall see objectives, introduction, and discussion. Objectives. In this unit, you will learn to be aware of your self-concept, what it takes to be a leader, and to see yourself as a leader. Many of us believe that leadership is not a cup of tea. Although it's a fact that not all of us can become leaders, it is always worth striving to develop ourselves the leadership qualities. You will certainly not be able to take the lead in all things yourself because each person or each one is unique. God has given one the deeds of war, another the quality of dancing, the third acting, another one singing, and so on. The great poet and thinker Homer was trying once to tell the people of Athens that the first qualification for leadership is skill and knowledge about the task in hand. To be a leader, you also need to do two things. One, to inspire, and another, to motivate the people around you. So, if we apply these teachings of Homer in a professional situation today, you can surely develop leadership qualities within you. If we need to excel in our jobs, you also need to train, to motivate, inspire, educate your colleagues and your fellow beings. The world famous management expert Stephen Covey states the following 7 principles of the effective leaders that need to follow in his seminal book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. 1. Be proactive. What does it mean to be proactive? It means anticipating problems, deadlocks, and taking initiative to creatively solve these problems. So important is the leaders should not blame the situation on others, but take the responsibility on themselves. To develop a problem analysis skill, you have to study the Johari window model. Begin with the end in mind. Good leaders always think carefully about their goals. They always have the goal in sight when they begin their journey. If you are a good leader, then before starting to read the book, you should decide what exactly you wish to gain from reading, which particular knowledge you would want to derive, and which skills you would wish to develop. This will make your book reading more fruitful. Same way, if you are working for a client or a company, you would exactly know what your professional and personal targets are. Once you try to relate all your professional behavior in these targets, your behavior becomes principled, logical, systematic, and leaves no scope for doubts, uncertainties, and confusion. Third, this is the third habit of highly effective people. They put first things first. Most of the times, we believe that we know our priorities, but many times we are confused. So, you tend to complete your jobs by giving a deadline. So, important work is done before the deadline. Now, here the writer Stephen Core suggests that we should make sure that the items we have prioritized are really the most important ones. Fourth, think win-win. Effective professionals do not merely think of clinching a deal or gaining a larger share, but the main focus is maximizing the benefits for all concerned. So, the common belief in any deal, someone must win and someone must lose, is a misconception. Take an example of managing conversations. Since we do not plan adequately, some of the conversations become unproductive and lead to frustrations. So it only takes a bit of creativity to find a path where all concerned can optimize their benefits. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Now, what happens when a miscommunication occurs? Some of them tend to blame other parties. When they fail, what to realize that perhaps they did not understand. By taking the responsibility of communications on ourselves, we are making positive attempts towards understanding the other person. And you can avoid frustration for yourselves and for others. For this, most important, you have to be an active listener. See now guys, effective leaders know that group effort is more fruitful than individual effort. Although more time has to be spent in discussions, trying to understand one another, try to understand each other's methods, their investment, the result is what? Some professionals tend to focus on individual excellence and avoid group work. Example, meetings are considered waste of time. Although professional excellence may prove rewarding sometimes, but professionals who ignore group work will soon lag behind in their career. So what is important is you should know group dynamics. You should know to communicate effectively in groups. So very important is know how groups behave and how you should communicate within the group. Sharpen the saw, which is very important. You should always keep sharpening your skills, that is upgrading your knowledge and enhancing your skills. This does not necessarily mean you have to attend any college or universities. For matured professionals, their lives can provide meaningful data that they can use to sharpen their skills. So just upgrade your knowledge. We are now going to begin with the end in mind. We now know that qualities we wish to develop and how they are related to communication. How can we improve our communication skills? First, understand the subjectivity of your experiences because sharpened human communication is closely related to our personal experiences. We cannot communicate with others without understanding ourselves, and that is understanding we are going to accomplish in this unit. Now let's start with the process of perception. Communication is a two-way process by which information is passed between a sender and a receiver. Perception is a receiver's understanding of the information the sender has offered. But problems arise because the receiver many a times thinks that the information given by a sender is correct. Actually, he has to check and find out that the information he has received from the sender is correct or wrong. A good communicator in the receiver's role listens closely to what another party says and then he should ask the questions. Did I understand you correctly? If the party says exactly this is what I mean, then you should understand that the communication between the two is complete. Now imagine you and your friend attends a speech by a professional speaker. Both you and your friend hold a strong discussion but different views on the issues the speaker has presented. When the speech is over, you discover that both you and your friend have entirely different interpretations of what the speaker has said. Why this is so? This is because each one has, both of them you can say, or each one has perceptions is different. Now what is perception? Exactly as stated you, it is the receiver's understanding of the information the sender has given. Now this perception is a three-phase process: selecting, organizing, and interpreting the information. At the first stage, we need the signal. You get a signal and then we select part or parts of the signal that are relevant to us. Second stage, we choose these parts and try to relate them to each other. We try to create a meaningful pattern out of these elements of the received signal. And the third stage, we try to ascribe some meaning to the pattern and try to interpret it. This was the same with the two friends. Both the friends interpreted the information given by the speaker in a different way. Let's see this image. Now this images, if you see, one would say that this figure is a white vase on a black background. Or another says these are silhouetted profiles on a white background. Means perceptual set operates in such cases and we tend to accept one interpretation over the other. Actually, the amount of black or white invisible can create a bias towards one's interpretation or the other. When you have identified the picture, the contours seem to belong to it and it appears to form in front of the ground. Once we have identified these elements and created a pattern, we give the meaning to it, we interpret the figure that either this is a vase and another one says these are human profiles. It is interesting to observe that once we attribute one meaning, it becomes difficult to make a shift and see the another meaning in the picture.